Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
It's a beautiful morning right here in the beautiful city of Osogbo, Osun State. We are glad to be back on the show. Morning Spring is the name of the show right here on Western Spring Television, where we talk about critical issues affecting us as a people, speaking to critical stakeholders, politicians, policymakers, social advocates to help us have a better understanding and deeper insights into the topic of a discourse. Sometimes we move outside the shores of Nigeria, moving to other countries. My name is Evelyn Ohiola, welcoming you especially. Femi, how are you doing today? Good morning.
Very well, thank you. Good morning. And good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Femi Ojo is my name. It gives me great pleasure to be here again, of course, doing this with you. On the program, we'll look at the headlines and then we get talking about these issues. Talking about the issues, it was a sad one yesterday when it was finally confirmed that the former chief of army staff has been, pronounced dead. That's General Taoreed Lagbaja. It was a sad one. There has been controversy about his missing in action status for some time. In fact, a particular tweeted like 2 weeks ago that maybe he has passed. But then the army came, at that point to say, no, he's still alive, worse, alive. But yesterday, the presidency announced that the chief of army staff, General Taoreed Lagbaja, has passed on. What a gallant officer, by the way, 1 year, 4 months in office. He was appointed in June last year. And, the fickle and the transient nature of life has caught up with him, just like it will catch up with all of us. That's it.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. I mean, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, it was a short stint at that exalted position as the Chief of Army Staff. But, he has done his part, and it's left for us to do our own part. That position right now is being occupied by Lieutenant General Oluyede in acting position. People are looking forward to his name being forwarded to the Senate so it can be confirmed as a substantive Chief of Army Staff. We pray for the family of the deceased, that God gives them the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. General Lagbaja died at the age of 56, and he was one that was always quick to talk about the progress, talk about the activities of the army, and is gone.
Quite media friendly.
Yeah, media friendly.
Always there, just like you said.
It's gone, and it's like you said. It speaks to how fickle life is. It's left for us to do our own part and know what we want to be remembered with, what will be our legacy.
Exactly. Born 28th of February 1968, died 5th of November 2024. And, expectedly, encomiums and, messages, consolations have been coming in, speeches here and there. Firstly, from the number one, the chief, Grand Commander of the armed forces of the Republic, that's Mr. President himself. And in fact, they had to postpone the FEC meeting yesterday. And then, the vice as well, the Speaker of the House of Reps, the Senate President, expectedly so, many persons have been talking about, his gallant nature while he was the highest army officer while he was alive. And of course, that will happen, just like I said, to everybody. In as much as you are still here, irrespective of either you are a general or you are an officer or you are just civilians like us, that's what will happen.
And it's also a big loss to us here in Osun State. Is an Osun-born man, and one of our very own, you can say it like that. a very gallant officer that has continued to fly the state's, name and flag. No, is gone. So it's a big blow for the state too.
Yeah, Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja, from here, by the way, and the Inspector General of Police, in the spirit of being, esprit de corps, I had to say, for the next 2 days, all is scheduled rather, and his itinerary is cancelled. Of course, all the flags have been flying at half-mast as well. And these are some of the things we are seeing at this time. All right, moving on. And, yesterday as well showed forth that the 47th President of the United States will be Donald J. Trump of the Republic. And, against all odds, you might want to say that. And, the man has said, I'm coming back. And the American people have agreed with him. The college votes, the early voting, the substantial vote, everything has shown that Donald Trump is the next man to occupy the White House. We've had a guest on this program earlier in the week who spoke on both divides, and to say either it will be Kamala or it will be Donald Trump, the pattern and everything. We'll look at that in the course of the program. But then, Evelyn, Donald Trump is the next man, president-elect.
Yes, the 45th and the 47th President of the United States. A lot of people have said it's a big comeback for Donald Trump, and he has given his own victory speech even before
the official
the official announcement. He gave his victory speech, and congratulations have been pouring in from all over the world. Even our own president here, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has congratulated Donald J. Trump for being the 47th president of the United States of America. Of course, he won that particular election with popular vote of 72,623,882 votes, with 295 electoral votes, defeating his, major contender, Kamala Harris of the Democratic Party, who garnered 67,927,989 votes with 226 electoral votes. I mean, it's a big win for Donald Trump. Congratulations to him, and we wish the people of America well.
World leaders, Emmanuel Macron, all of them, Sir Keir Starmer. Benjamin Netanyahu, just like President, Tinubu as well, have been talking and to say, all right, we wish you people the best. You don't have any choice. You just have to work with him, because anybody in that particular... By the way, we should say congratulations to Kamala Harris for running a very, very intense race with this particular person, even against all odds as well. We must give it to that. One man or woman will surely emerge. I don't know, Trump has emerged. But then you can't push away or denigrate the effort and the personality, the fight of Kamala, Harris. Maybe better luck next time. Donald Trump came the last time. People didn't vote for him. Another shot, maybe next time. We'll take this quick break, and then when we return, the program will continue. Stay with us. Advantage of these people I have with us. In fact, I wanted to take a particular newspaper. I had to just scroll. Maybe Evelyn we take that. I don't want to be the harbinger and of bad news this morning, talking about one particular paper. But then it is the reality, sad reality. Let me start from the Nigerian Tribune. For today, Tinubu directs flags to fly at half-mast as Lagbaja dies at 56. Council's fake meeting. Kingsmen suspend community activities. Buhari governance, NAS leadership, others mourn. And of course, you have a picture beside it that has to do with a wife of National Security Advisor, Mrs. Biliki Surubadu, First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the widow of the late Chief of Army Staff, Mrs. Maria Abiodun Lagbaja, the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shatima, and the wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Mrs. Ogogo Musa, during our condolence visit by the First Lady to the home of the late General Taoreed Lagbaja on Wednesday. Nobody wants to be in this kind of situation, but life happens. All right, and away from that, boldly reading, all marketers tackle Dangote in court. Okay, here we go. Say no to planned monopoly in energy sector. Okay. And away from that, Tinubu world leaders congratulate Trump as he marches 47th U.S. president, while Americans dumped Harris. You want to know why? Pick up a copy of this paper. Here, Arabs move to compel president to give account of stewardship before lean budget. Really? Okay. Expert expresses concern on rise in head and neck cancers related to HPV. What a concern. And NYC members call for implementation of 77,000 allowance. All right. Duly so, by the way, because this announcement was made without no gun to the head of the people who announced it, or no knife to the throat of the people who came with that information to say we are ready. 77,000 will be paid, and backdated to, was it not July or something? And this is November. Well, what does that say to the young people and the trust deficit that we are all talking about? Yeah. And these people, you will be told, in fact, that assignment is a national assignment, and you are telling them, you give them 77,000 naira. Nobody even forced you, but you guys came and said, this is what we are going to do. And 5 months down the line, nothing like that has happened. On national duty, you will now be ramming it, down their throat that they have to be patriotic. What a message.
And that is so right?
Really?
Fabi, I don't know what you want me to say. Because
no, I'm just saying, I'm not even asking you to say anything.
It's
77,000.
It has become the Nigerian factor, where the government says something and they are not putting their mouth
immediately.
It's a sad reality, especially for these core members who are just starting with life, and a lot of them already have this this notion about unpatriotic notion about Nigeria already in their head, and you're giving them more reason to
just second guess everything.
Nigeria, really. Probably Nigeria.
Some just passed out last week.
Yes, and they did not get 77,000 naira. So we can only speak to issues and call those in positions of authority to do the needful.
You are disappointing them, and these guys will now find an opportunity to jump outside of the country. And Senate President will now say, no, you should not jump out, because people like us, is the love of the country that has kept us here. And so you should just remain ordinary 77,000 naira. You guys cannot pay. It's reeking of unseriousness, I'm telling you. Obasanjo Jonathan, others laud Obaseki's achievement and court bars CBN, others from withholding Kano local government funds. Court here and there, court. Dangote and marketers, court, politicians to court, appeal court, federal high court, all kind of court proceedings. Like, all right, maybe if it's legal, then it's legal. That will be all from the Nigerian Tribune.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, we head over to The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper this morning, the bold, big caption is on the U.S. election. U.S. decides, low expectations, optimism herald Trump's second coming. And you can see the man there, Donald Trump, with his picture and the seal of the President of the United States of America right beside him. And he has been elected the 47th President of the United States. Congratulations to him and to all Republicans. FG calls, and to all Americans, I should put there. It's a victory for Americans, not the Republicans only. FG calls for peace over Abia Akwa Ibom border dispute. And Obasanjo Jonathan Tambuwal. Others laud Obasaki's 8 years in office. Oyo Oke's 80,000 naira minimum wage for workers. Naira remains volatile despite current account surplus, rising forex inflow. And floods sack Rivers and Anambra community. Floods and Rivers and Anambra communities. We hope they can be provided with some help and some succor. Tinubu honors ex-COAS as Obi Atiku governors. NNPCL mourn. FG blames frequent grid collapse on Disco's inability to offtake electricity. Okay. Someone will still have to take the fall. Yeah. Someone will still have to take the blame.
It's not vandalism.
So it's now on the Discos, their inability to offtake electricity. That will be all from the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right. And Evelyn, you just had to make me come back to what I refused to take in the first place. Daily Trust newspaper and the bold headline, I ran from it, but now we are back to it. Bandits abduct over 50 people in Zamfara. Okay. Not okay, by the way. With riders place 150 million naira levy on residents. Kill 10 farmers in Niger. We are working hard to tackle problem. Okay. 50 people abducted in a state in Zamfara. And 150 million naira levy on residents. By who? Not the local government, not the state government, not the Nigerian police, not the federal government. By non-state actors called bandit. The one that some traditional rulers are that enter banned at some point. The ones we are giving amnesty to say they are repentant. The ones we are saying they have, they are holding their hands up in the air to say they have surrendered. And these guys are still running riots, across state at will. Now, 150 million naira levy on residents. What exactly is that for? 150 million. What do we call that? Because it's not your ransom.
Yeah.
Maybe price for freedom or something.
It didn't start today. There have been, bandits placing levy on these residents, in fact on farmers, saying you cannot go to farm unless you pay this particular levy.
Planting season.
Exactly.
Harvest
so that's
season,
why sometimes, a lot of people said that it actually contributed to the high price of food stuff because these people would have to get back all the levies they've been paying to these non-state actors in one way or the other. And if they do not make those payments, they will not be allowed to go to farm. So their source or means of livelihood has been tampered with. Exactly. So the fact that, of course, the government is saying we are working hard to tackle the problem. The question will be for how long? Because those people live in perpetual fear.
How hard are they working?
That's the question for them. These people live in perpetual fear and they would rather pay the levy than trust the government to rescue them. So it speaks a lot to who runs the state.
Really? I think that's who runs that particular state. Is it still the government? And you see the handlers of the government at state level, especially at the federal level, will tell you Boko Haram, ISWAP, ISIS, any of these criminals, they are not hoisting flags again like it used to be under the last administration of the other party. Now we are in charge. Only just skirmishes on pockets of, easy targets are the ones that are being affected right now. But the jury is in the open, and this is not the thing that is happening. It's not true with what is happening in Zamfara. Niger as a state has its own problem as well. Kill 10 farmers at will, and we have a government. By the way, the bad news, Lagbaja's death, top generals for redeployment, and Tinubu Akpabio governors mourn, fake meeting postponed indefinitely, national flag to fly at half-mast for 7 days. Now you can see, the man there that has came, saw, and conquered and left, at the scene, and the color dark to show at 56. Maybe you could have offered more. if not for life. By the way, moving on, and here Kano begins registration of foreigners. Okay, this could hike prices of meters in all of these. At these and they were saying all of these robodion. We are still hearing hiking, petrol hiking. Was no hike again. Okay, maybe the discos will tell you as well that their cost of production has increased. And end bad governance protest, Borno minors still in custody, defense lawyer. Okay. These minors are now identified based on the state they came from. Kaduna minors, the Kano minors, they are the ones that have been set free. We are hearing there are Borno minors. Are they really? Because we don't know if it's minor or minor major or just minor somewhere. But then if time permits, we look into that in the course of the program. Tinubu world leaders congratulate Trump on election victory. And 22, by the way, let me say it here. A couple of Nigerian politicians, went to the US. They said they went to observe elections. By the way, they are right. It as a private citizen, as a politician. But the thing is, by the time they are back, we like to ask them, what did you observe? How is it done over there? We saw pictures and holding meetings, the two pictures, they uploaded their timelines to say we are observing, the election. I would like to ask them how many ballot boxes were snatched, how many, people carry cutlass, how many voters were intimidated and, knives, big sticks wielded at them to say, if you vote for this particular candidate, we are going to deal with you, and nothing has happened. How many thugs were moved around in Escalades and Jeeps? By the way, I think I'm
and
interested.
how many result sheets were actually tampered with?
And the IREV, if actually they have IREV, how many of these results were mutilated?
Oh, there were glitches. Were there glitches?
Glitches, we like to see.
The results were uploaded in real time. People were following as each, result was being uploaded from different states, from different, counties. It speaks, I know, yes, you can say the U.S. democracy is well developed. It's
but still not
robust,
perfect, by the way.
Than the Nigeria democracy. We are still growing. But then I hope we can learn the good things,
That's why they are there to observe now.
But can they replicate that in our country when they come back?
Election is just around the corner. In Osun is just 2026. The general election is 2027. In fact, there will be one in Ondo State this month. You don't forget.
Yeah.
So some of these people that have gone to observe, I hope you go to Ondo and tell them, this is how we do it, and this is how we run it. And bad one, 22 miners feared dead as pit collapses in Adamawa. Again, here we go. What is the safety procedures? Are these the real guys that use the machines or the artisanal miners? Because these, one would say it happens. In China, I remember years ago it happened. In South Africa it happens. But what's the response like? And I hope their own governor will not go on trip and the deputy will go on trip and the speaker will go on trip, just like it happened in the state not too far from them there. Let's just do what we have to do and to do it rightly. And lastly, tax reform. President should unite, not divide Nigeria. Okay, it seems the dust is here to settle the tax reform thing, and that's coming from the Bauchi state governor. That will be all on the headline segment for this morning. We take this break. When we return, we speak to matters arising. Stay with us.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Eva is pounding current events, traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Detailed facts. In seconds, the flew across borders, bundles of words. broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Damosi Adegoke Adelabu was a prominent figure in Ibadan politics and Western region. Before Nigeria's independence, he was a key founder of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, a political party that held lofty the torch of liberty for the two West African countries. He carved a niche for himself as a wordsmith and a creative speaker. The nickname Kwenkele Mens was a natively corrupted version of Peculiar Mess, his bombastic English language style often used to score proceedings at the parliament. The author of Africa in Ebullition, a handbook of freedom for Nigerian nationalists, was Nigeria's Federal Minister of Natural Resources and Social Services between 1955 and 1956. He died in an auto crash on the 25th March 1958 at the age of 42. Western Spring Television identifies Adegoke Adelabu as a watershed character in history.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all stuff to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girl got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, Channel 1, only on StarTimes.
Up to 75% of all new human diseases come from animals. Ebola, anthrax, and monkeypox all came from animals. And as more dead wild animals are being transported to our cities, we risk introducing another disease outbreak. This will affect our health, economy, and well-being. So say no to illegal bushmeat. Protecting nature protects us all.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as the break with facts and clarity? News is
Africa and all those who might be to have to pay.
And Western programs projecting culture and tradition to the world.
Fellow Nigeria, I put your life is of interest to me.
Produced and brought to you in a unique way.
Western Spring
And Western Spring Television. That is coming home in color and culture.
Ahmadu Bello, a Prince Royal, was born 6th of December 1910 at Raba Village, Sokoto, northwestern Nigeria. His father was a district head and heir apparent to the Sultanate throne from the house of Usmanu Danfodio, a religious and social reformer who brought the Habib dynasty under the Fulani Caliphate in the beginning of the 19th century. Ahmadu Bello raised the bar of political consciousness in participation when, in 1944, he engineered the establishment of the Northern People's Congress (NPC) as the first political party in northern Nigeria and the rallying point for politicians in the region before independence. History will not forget Ahmadu Bello for his charisma and political sagacity, which provided easy passage for his kinsmen to assume political and administrative positions in Nigeria's post-independence era. The distinguished elder statesman and Sardauna of Sokoto has his face on his country's 200 naira currency, a mark of honor to one of the architects of Nigeria's independence. Western Spring Television identifies Ahmadu Bello as a watershed character in history.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. Adeoye Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Thank you for staying with us. The first leg of this conversation is about the just concluded election, presidential election in the United States of America that has returned Donald J. Trump as the president-elect and to be sworn in the 47th president of the United States. Quite an intense race, it was. And at the end of the day, that is what we have seen at this time. How did that pan out? Earlier in the week, we talked about it, the factors that people might consider, the patterns. Is it the party, a Republican or the Democrat, or the policies, that's been promulgated or, by these candidates and the party? These are some of the things. So did that exactly work out as the analysis was stated, on Monday? And the world over, the immigration thing, the abortion right thing, the people who are pro-life, the liberality of the Democrats, which many feel it's been taken too far, the economy, many of those things like that. And at the end of the day, Donald J. Trump, is the president-elect. We have been joined this morning virtually by a political analyst and a journalist as well. And we spoke with him earlier in the week. And, it said something. We'd like to cross-check again if those things are the way he said it. Femi Olanipokun joins us from Connecticut. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Just like I said, we spoke with you earlier, and you mentioned on a range of things that might play out in this election. And at the end of the day, J. Trump has been returned elected. Did he follow what you talked about? And just like you say, he's always interested in the American politics. But what are those things? Did he follow what you spoke about, or other things played out?
Well, obviously, the economy was topmost on the mind of most voters, and judging by the pattern of results, you could see that was what informed, alongside immigration, the choice of many voters. Donald Trump, the 45th president, now the 47th president, who would be the 47th president of the United States, is a very divisive figure. Ran an acrimonious campaign, has questionable character, is a convicted felon, has many of those baggages. He's your unconventional politician, but he did more to, convince voters to look beyond those shortcomings, to look at their pocket, to look at the state of their country, to ask if they are comfortable with the state of the nation as of today compared to when it was there 4 years ago. And I think he did well convincing them, as against the media narrative. It's an indictment on the media, the kind of information that the media passes across to the people, he was able to go beyond reaching out to even groups that many people felt would not ordinarily back him. He had significant points amongst Latinos as expected, as against what the polls were saying, as against what the media narrative was. He has significant, not significant, but modest showings amongst the Black community, especially male Blacks. He has significant showing amongst working class Americans. And these are ordinarily the traditional.
All right. Femi, are you still with us? All right. So we'll try and reestablish connection. Evelyn, he was just trying to reel out the voting pattern, in that election that produced Donald J. Trump. His character on one hand, the way he does, the way he comports himself, the way he speaks, the kind of his persona, maybe it didn't really overshadow whatever I was promising for the people. But one thing is, some will say, and I'd like to ask Femi when we have the connection back as well, that it was more a vote against the ideals of the Democrats than they believe in Donald Trump, if you understand what I'm saying.
People, you're saying people just want the Democrats out, irrespective of, who the major contender is.
Not really because they really
not because they like Trump. But, they've made their choice. There are some people who actually also loved the policies of the Democrats. They really wanted him to. Okay.
All right. Femi, are you with us now?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right. Please land on yourself.
Oh, so I was saying that this is an incredible comeback. It's been described as the greatest political comeback in American history. It's been, described as a phoenix rising from the ashes. Really, when you look at the, what happened after 2021, January 6th, when people felt this was the end of Donald Trump's political career. This guy's been able to come back from that. And so ultimately, the issues of immigration, the issues of economy resonated more with the American people, with the majority of the American people. And it should be stressed that it's also, like I said earlier on, an indictment on the media. The kind of narrative that the media pushed was that this this guy was not going to be even considered at all. Even in the case of two bad choices, wasn't going to be considered. But then Donald Trump made significant inroads, significant gains amongst Latino voters. That's significant. These constitute the largest immigration bloc. He has significant, inroads amongst first and second generation migrants who also feel that the illegal immigration is a problem in the country. He has significant inroads amongst people who felt that the economy was bad for them and that he is the only man that can do the job for them.
All right. And quick things, because of time. You talked about the media influence. Will you say, okay, many persons will say maybe sometimes media in any nation, when a big decision like this is to be taken, you might see leanings towards one side or the other. And of course, there are some persons or establishment who will really stay within the convention of the work to do what they are doing, but then still with the duty of shaping people's decision-making process, there are narratives that are churned out. Would you say that substantially the media were a bit, biased, and they really painted a narrative that was, albeit dark, for Donald Trump, that they were really against him, although there are a couple of media stations that he has always called out. But the fourth estate of the realm in the U.S., was it an intentional thing for a substantial part of them to always paint him like an unstable, if I'm not being extreme, somebody who's not mentally there to really do what the job takes? That's number one. And number two, will it be true to say that the vote, in spite of the policies and everything, was more of anti-democratic values? The Democrats, and whatever they have on their hands and whatever they believe in, a vote against them than a vote for what the president-elect Trump represents, if you understand the two questions.
I mean, so to unpack this, so the first question about the media, it's evident. The media was overwhelmingly negative in its reportage of Trump, and understandably so. Here is a very divisive figure, your unconventional politician who doesn't, pay attention to diplomatese. He doesn't speak in the refined way that you expect of a statesman. He doesn't follow the script. He talks off the cuff, and the media also doubled down on the negative reportage of him, fact-checked him more than perhaps any other politician alive, and understandably so, because he also lies effortlessly. But then there was an evident media bias against him, and the media ignored the sentiments of the people. The media also was so sucked in by, liberals. The media parrots media sentiments, leftist sentiments and ideologies, ignoring the vast concerns of the majority of the people. And, it's also reflective in the polls. The polls have gotten Donald Trump wrong in the last 3 election cycle. We talked about what the polls are saying here the last time we spoke about being a tight race, neck and neck. But then, judging by what we're seeing, Trump is even doing better, even in popular votes. He's going to be the first Republican president that will win in the popular vote since 2004. And he, like I said earlier on, he made significant showings with many of the traditional bases of the Democratic Party, the working class, the minorities. He made fairly good showings in that respect. So I feel the media, we need to do some introspection. And part of the strategy of Donald J. Trump, if you notice, was him avoiding the traditional media houses. It wasn't really patronizing them or of granting interviews. He instead went for the new media. He did more podcast interviews, perhaps more than the other candidate. And there was a strategy for that. I was doing some analysis yesterday, and he had a 27-year-old who led that part. And the guy was a consultant who worked with his 18-year-old son, Bannon, and they handpicked some of the most popular podcasts in America. And those podcasts appealed more to young men, young white male, between 18 and 30, 36 or thereabout. And he was speaking to some of the most popular podcast hosts in America. Your unconventional, imagine speaking and sitting with Joe Rogan, who is perhaps the world's most popular podcaster, for a 3-hour interview, And some of those interviews had millions in streams. And there's been a noticeable trend, a shift in how people source their news and information. It's about the fact that this generation, are not necessarily sourcing their information from the traditional media. They're discrediting them. They've taken to platforms like X. And I think that will be another discussion about the influence of X, the influence of Elon Musk in this election. So that's on one side. The other side is that if you look at it, this election is somewhat of a repudiation of the Democratic Party, not necessarily Kamala Harris. The party has moved to the extreme left in recent times. The party, to find its way again amongst the working class people, will need to find its way back to the center. The party seems to have neglected its traditional bases, going on a vain voyage of identifying with some very strange ideologies and pushing and imposing and foisting it on its support. So Trump was able to raise cultural issues of same-sex, gender, female in male sport, about transgender kids, about providing transgender surgery for prisoners, to minorities that are culturally sensitive. And it resonated more with Muslims, resonated more.
All right. We'll try and reconnect. What our point has been made, especially with the messages from, the right, the left, and the far left, talking about the Democrats as well. We're just trying to see what played out in that election. And it's quite important to have a review and to see what has really played out. And moving on, By the way, he's quite instructive to say that the runner Kamala Harris has considered defeat to Donald J. Trump, and she said she has called him and told him that they will support him and his team in transition. Okay, if time permits and the clip is ready, we'll play it for you to have, what he said. She said rather, and very instructive in that video at her concession. She said the allegiance and the loyalty is to the Constitution of the United States of America, not necessarily to an individual, not necessarily to a party. And I think for me, that's the way it should be.
Of course, the allegiance should be to the Constitution of that country, in this case, of the United States of America. You'd remember in the past elections, there have been concession speeches by the opponents that lost the election. Remember in the case of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in 2016, she called Trump to concede to congratulate him and also give a concession speech. In 2020, we kind of had a sharp departure from that, because till date, Donald Trump has not accepted the defeat of 2020. People have been, speaking about the fact that he, in a way, tried to destabilize the democracy of the United States at the point. Now, Donald Trump has been elected the 47th president of the United States of America, and his opponent, his major contender, Kamala Harris, has considered defeat and called him to congratulate him and also gave a concession speech.
And
one might want to ask, Donald Trump, what did he think would happen if Hillary, played the same card he played in 2020? Then you would definitely have a United States of America in chaos at this time.
And throwing the entire system under the bus.
So even though Donald J. Trump has won, the election, I believe he should still know that at some point in the history of America, he was trying to destabilize the democracy of the country. And I think in a way he owes the people an apology.
I think he does.
He owes the people an apology.
Because that same system that he said was skewed against him, the same system that he said was flawed and was biased, and then they denied him, the mandate was stolen. The same system has produced him, right?
Yeah, and analysts have said over and over again that if this particular election went in favor of Kamala Harris, Donald Trump would have repeated what he did in 2020, and probably there might be some, chaotic moves there in different states.
I guess we'll never find out.
Especially supporters of Donald Trump. Right. But, he has emerged. Kamala has congratulated him and also considered defeat. And that is how it's supposed to be in a democratic state.
And that reminds me of what former President Goodluck Jonathan did in the race between him and former President Buhari. Femi, it's good to have you back. You are going to land on your thought, and you were talking about the ideals of the Democrats.
Well, so, it said this election also can be looked in another way as a repudiation of Democratic Party, what the party stands for and how it has moved to extreme left in recent times, about how the party has abandoned its traditional basis of working class people, focused more on, college-educated works, and some very vain philosophies around transgender and the like. See, the party struggled to connect with male voters. There are a lot of second generation, first generation immigrants in the United States who are Latinos or blacks who really keyed into the Donald J. Trump message about immigration, who felt that immigration needed to be regulated and the illegal immigration issue had to be dealt with. So I feel that after this election to get back into national reckoning because Donald Trump has been able to galvanize, a base, beyond the traditional Republican Party support, making inroads into minority areas with Latinos and Blacks. And this could be, if well managed by the Republican Party, the beginning of some level of domination and emergence of another Republican Party with characters like Vivek Ramaswamy, Charles Kirk, Tucker Carlson, and the Vice President elect Senator J.D. Vance, that will appeal to more young voters. I talked about, I don't know if you're able to hear me that time, if the connection was there, about the strategy of connecting with young voters through podcast and not actually going through traditional media. I was able to connect with younger voters, young male who listen to a lot of these voters, podcast via those means. So I feel this Democratic Party, we need to do some soul searching as we go forward in this particular electioneering.
All right, so let's talk about, you mentioned the influence of Elon Musk in this particular election. If you remember, a court case was instituted against him about the giveaways, monies it was given to the people. I just want you to talk about his influence in this particular election and how he was able to garner support for Donald Trump, especially now that he has won the election.
So if you look at the issues dispassionately, Elon Musk's, influence in this election is incredible. Trump is not beloved by the media. He, as a strategy, ignored the media, had two debates on the traditional news networks and maybe one or two interviews with the traditional media. Essentially, his main means of reaching the electorate and voters were through the social media, through the new media. And Elon Musk used this platform increasingly towards the election, in many cases to give, weight to conspiracy theories, to galvanize people, in many instances to peddle lies also, and in many instances to also raise fears amongst the people. You heard him constantly say that this could be the last election America will have, saying that if the Democrats win, they will make America like California, where, make it blue wall all through by legalizing illegal immigrants and then flip the Republican states and flip the red state. And he has perhaps the highest following on Twitter with about 200 million people. So, he was constantly pushing such messaging. But more importantly is the fact that Trump's messages were not censored. And a lot of far-right, I'm always wary, very, mindful of using the term far-right, because it's also part of what I believe cost the Democratic Party this election. All dissenting views, all opposing opinions were termed far right. Many people who opposed some of their, positions were termed Nazis. And I think this is also part of what, one of those voices found a platform on X, and so it actually helped him incredibly. He did live streams, he did spaces on X, reaching out to a huge majority of people, even beyond traditional media. So it was really huge. The influence was huge. And personally, Elon Musk pumped over $100 million into the election. He set up bases in Pennsylvania, that key state, and the $1 million he was giving out was, he couched it in a way, I'm sure, to bypass legal challenges, that this was to encourage people to register to vote, not to, because it would be it's illegal. Though some of the states are also challenging, one of the states also challenging him, saying that was, classic vote buying scheme. But then he's saying, well, this is a place to encourage people to register to vote.
Okay, so because we're pressed for time, let's talk about Kamala conceding defeat. She has already called Donald Trump to congratulate him and also give a concession speech, on this particular election. Let's take a throwback to 2020 when Donald Trump lost the election to Joe Biden, he refused to concede defeat. In fact, till now, people think he has not accepted publicly that election, his defeat in that particular election. Do you think, I'd like you to speak to that particular issue, and some people believe that Donald Trump at a time almost destabilized the democracy of America, and he owes the American people an apology for what happened in the year 2020.
I mean, so this is how it should be, and you're graceful in defeat. When it happens, you take it. The American people have spoken, and they have spoken. That's why Donald Trump lost a lot of support, even amongst Republicans. And that's why many people felt that was the end of his political career at that time. But then it's quite remarkable how he's been able to come back with people ignoring all of that. I mean, but this is how it should be. And it's unfortunate that Trump did not go that route that time. He still continues to believe, and during the midterm elections, many of the Republicans who agreed with him, they are called election deniers, actually lost their election. Many of them lost their elections. It was like United States people, the American people really passing a vote of no confidence on them. But that said, I mean, that's by the wayside. The people seem to care less about that. We should also talk about Kamala Harris, how she was thrust into the spotlight unexpectedly after Joe Biden dropped out of the race. It must be stressed that she ran a remarkable campaign. It must be stressed that she didn't have the same time to campaign against the bulwark like Trump. She had barely, just above 100 days to campaign, to run against a man who's, had 2 election cycles before then. But she did fairly well. But it was always going to be an uphill task for her, in that a majority of Americans feel that the country is not being run the proper way. The CNN, which is a left-leaning, media organization, did an exit poll during the election in the afternoon, towards the evening, and found out that many people casting their ballots felt that the country was not going in the right direction. And when you have such a survey, people tilting in that direction, it was always going to be different to win the election.
So I'd like to ask this question, sorry to butt in. Would you say this election was more of an acceptance of Donald Trump or a rejection of Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party?
I think the election is more of a rejection of the Biden administration. I'm more about the people saying, am I better off 4 years than now? The more you hear more and more people saying, I don't like Donald Trump. I want to be associated with him. I dislike him. Some even use strong words like hate. But they say, I can't continue like this. I've had people say, I've never seen the price of egg this high at $6 plus. I've never had to buy a jar of milk at this rate. I've never had to pay this much for groceries, and I can't continue like this, living from paycheck to paycheck. If you check the statement of Senator Bernie Sanders, a major force within the Democratic Party, who, for me, really is also more to the extreme left, saying, well, the Democratic Party also are saying that this is a rejection of its policies. This is a rejection of what it stands for, of what it has become by the American people, saying it has lost support of the traditional working class because it's moved more to the left and perhaps ignored the people. So this is more about American people voting for their pocket and voting for the state of the economy more than Donald Trump. Many of them. So
it didn't matter who the Democratic Party brings to the fore, whether it was a Kamala Harris, whether it was a Joe Biden or any other person, it would still have been a rejection for the Democratic Party.
It probably would have been. It probably would have been. It was voting. And if you look at the strategy of Donald J. Trump, the moment Joe Biden dropped out of the race, they started tying everything about the Biden administration on Harris. So it wasn't, again, about Biden. I mean, truthfully, you know that the vice president serves at the mercy of the president. Yeah. The policies would be Joe Biden's policies, but the narrative changed. It was crafted in a way. It was Harris, what Harris did, Harris did at the border as the immigration czar, as the border czar. It was Harris' policies that led to inflation. It was Harris' policy, this and that. And, so they tied it. So it was about a record of the Joe Biden administration. And in terms of approval ratings, they had one of the worst approval ratings in memory. And before she became the candidate of the Democratic Party, Kamala Harris's approval ratings was also very low, but she had that huge bump, huge swing, upward swing after the nomination, like never before. The party had never seen that kind of fervor aside the Obama period, but it was not going to last because this was more about the people saying, can I continue in this form? Can I continue to live paycheck to paycheck? And this is part of what I feel that the Democratic Party need to do and do some soul searching.
All right, we'll take this pause at this time to take the concession speech of Vice President Kamala Harris, who ran against Donald Trump, conceding defeat and also explaining that she had called Donald Trump to congratulate him on his victory at the election. We'll take this video and come back to take more reactions. Do not go anywhere.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers, over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence.
Kamala Harris there being graceful even in defeat. You know, that was her concession speech. And like other world leaders, she has also congratulated Donald Trump on his victory, being elected as the 47th president of the United States. Femi, are you still with us there?
Yep, I'm still with you.
Okay, so I'd like you to, talk about what we can learn as a country here in Nigeria. Election was done and dusted. The major contender already called and congratulated the winner, and everyone is moving on. She's already talking about transition and how to make it, very seamless for Donald Trump and his team. Right here in Nigeria, we know what will go down. You would have, heard of, the election was rigged. Lawyers already coming out with a suit and countersuit. I just want you to tell us what we can learn in this election as a country, as a people, going forward.
By the way, some of our politicians are there to observe, so possibly whatever they can bring back.
Well, I mean, those politicians back there, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't say anything about that. There's a lot to learn from the American style here, as divisive, as sometimes very damaging the electioneering. If you just like in pretty much every part of the world, if you join politics, you see the best and the worst in people. The process, the system is different from what obtains back home anyway. There is no central election management body here. The elections are conducted by the states. Even in many of the states, the counties and the towns have significant say in how the elections are conducted. There is no definitive central closing time. So in some states, it starts 6 a.m., finishes by 8 p.m. In other states, it ends by 9. In other states, it's by 10. In other states, by 11 p.m. And just like Kamala Harris did, that was what many people also expected Donald Trump to do 2021, and that was also what Al Gore did. Al Gore put, if you remember, that also very controversial election between Al Gore, the Vice President of the United States during Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush, the second Bush. Yeah. That election was also very controversial, with the result from Florida tilting the vote in favor of, Bush. Many people felt Gore was hard done by that time, but in the interest of the nation, he let go. He didn't pursue any legal option. Many people felt he had, a very good case and could have had that overturned, but I think it was more patriotic. That was what many people expected Trump to do. But, Trump being who he is, and look at what Kamala Harris did now, saying she considered defeat, but then she's not conceding the fight, about protecting democratic values and all of that. That's graceful, and that's what Nigerian politicians also should learn. But that also will help when we have a more credible electoral process. That will help when our electioneering, our campaign processes are dominated by issues, not by pettiness, not by primordial sentiments. When we hold candidates as a people to antecedents and not because of their religion or tribe or, where, they come from. And pretty much the result, we know who the president is in just 24 hours, if you like. We know that. And there are no widespread, election violence, a lot of that as we are back home. There's a lot to learn really about the process. I noticed here that election managers are like project managers. There's a rule book to manage crises. So in some counties where there were bomb threats, in some counties where there were disruptions, technical challenges, there's a guide to how to deal with that and deal with it immediately. And so you had no significant disruption. There was a county where there were bomb threats, and then the election managers already had lawyers from both parties approached the judge, and within a few minutes there was an order from the court asking that the election be extended by 2 hours. So I think we also need to incorporate that in our electoral processes. Election managers, election officials should be project managers, seeing projects from beginning, from execution to completion.
All right. I would like to thank you especially, Femi Olanipekun, journalist and political analyst, for joining us on the show this morning. We always appreciate your presence in the show, your analysis and your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure, and very instructive to know. We have a lot to learn, especially seeing with what Kamala said, the loyalty is first to the Constitution. And that's the same Constitution that our people around here, they swear to uphold, even at state levels, national level, local levels, and they still do otherwise. But then, God bless the United States, God bless Nigeria as well. We'll take this quick break. When we return home, and we'll talk about what is happening here in Nigeria.
I am Josh Tufon. I'm a comedian and I like to make people laugh. Fly up! But it's not funny that we're losing our unique gorillas. We only have around 100 left, and they are threatened by habitat loss and traps set for bushmeat. So please say no to us, because protecting nature protects us all.
Since assuming the mantle of leadership in Osun, the state of the Living Spring, Governor Ademola Adeleke has left no one in doubt about his avowed commitment to the overall development of the state. The footprints of his transformative agenda span through education, transportation, health, staff welfare, social infrastructure, among others. Living Spring Update, a weekly diary on Rave 91.7 FM and Western Spring Television, Channel 190 Star Times DTT, will extract Governor Adeleke's development agenda for your listening and viewing pleasure. From the bustling market to agricultural initiatives, from the testimonies of and retirees to the chairs of artisans across the state, we discover how the Adeleke's administration is driving the economic goals of the state. Stay informed and engaged. Living Spring Update, where we have deep details of ongoing projects, new initiatives in healthcare, and acts for striving made across the state. on television at 6 p.m. and every Saturday on Rave 91.7 FM at exactly 2:30 p.m. You can follow us on all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television and at Rave 917 FM as we tell the story of how Governor Adeleke is shaping Osun into the beacon of development and opportunity.
Living Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Oshogbo.
The conversation is about, we had an angle of that yesterday, but then it's about the prosecution and, discontinuation of the prosecution of some minors, quote unquote minors now, carefully using those words. Some of those, young people, the government said disrupted the peace and, threatening to overthrow the government. The last and bad governance protest that, held in the country, 1st of August, the 10th of August. So some of them were arrested and they were brought to court and the whole thing, it became messy. Some of the guys that were brought forward appeared very little, like a child, many of them between the age range of 10 to 15. And the whole nation were saying, why are you bringing children to court and you're charging them with treason and an attempt to overthrow the government? The whole thing went the way it went. At the end of the day, the noise was much. The federal government had to discontinue the case. Those guys were released. But then, one thing is this. It seems, and that's a concern of many persons, that when the picture and videos of those young guys were released, people who did live video with them, when they were given food and snacks to snack on, some of the pictures we saw malnourished children, and people who have not been well fed, very young guys. And at the end of that court session, the counsel to the federal government said, those guys we're looking at are not children. They are people's fathers and husbands, and some of them are graduates. That is just a charade. In fact, the police spokesperson said the fainting that happened in the court was scripted and it was, a stage, and all went on like that. But 2 days ago, or yesterday when they were released, 2 days ago, we were now seeing, another image of not so young, not so minor guys, and people are wondering what really happened. Are they in batches, or was it a blend of both? And Nigerians are confused. In fact, many on the social media space are even saying, has there been an exchange? What is really going on? We have with us a political analyst, DME Saka. Possibly he could give us a sense of what is happening with this particular story. Time is a constraint this morning, but then we'll try and do the best that we can. Mr. Saka, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Nice having me. I'm happy I didn't disappoint again today, so I'm so excited about that.
We appreciate you for that. Now, you had my introduction, and I know you have observed this particular case. What do you think is going on?
Well, I probably want to tell the presidency, which includes the president and his aides and what have you, that they should not attempt an insult to the collective intelligence of Nigerians. There is no way the presidency can feign ignorance of such ongoing or such happenstance or issue, because those people are not, those young men are not charged for breaking an entry, burglary, armed robbery, and what have you. They were charged for treason. And if we could cast our mind back, just immediately after the end bad governance, the NSA issued a statement saying it was a regime change that they wanted to topple the government. So that means the national security agencies and the other agencies under the coordination of the National Security Advisor came up with a CTREP, a situation report, intelligence estimates, intelligence analysis to form its decision. That is what an right-thinking organization would have done. So that's what we assume they've done for them to come up with such a statement. And after such arrest, and you know you're going to charge them for treason, the number of persons arrested will obviously include the location they were picked from, their age and everything will be given to Mr. President at either presidential daily intelligence briefing or probably a special national intelligence estimates reporting or briefing or national intelligence estimate or briefing. And with such briefing, that there's going to be legal implications and legal procedures or proceedings to after such arrest, the Attorney General of the Federation will be in attendance to advise the government how to go about it. Okay, let's start tracing charges on them. This is what we stand to gain. This is our chances in courts and what have you. So the President, the Attorney General cannot feign ignorance, even the IGP. Unless they didn't go the right route, they don't know what they are doing in Aso Rock as we speak. But if it's about business or going, this is the procedural way to go about it. So coming around to tell us that the president is unaware, this face-saving antics, it's laughable. And I tell this to people. The greatest demarketer of the country as we speak right now is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Because of his identity crisis. His identity crisis. The issue of the Chicago thing, how it became messy and everything. So no serious government or country want to deal with us. They were probably a bit skeptical about us. Now with this that happened, this is just pushing the bad perception about us further, and it's laughable. Because we are the one pushing for grants for humanitarian crisis, pushing for grants for kids with children and women, asking for aid, whatever. No sensible, responsible right-wing organization wants to do anything with us as we speak, because you've shown that you trample on the rights of children. So it's bad for us as a country. It has become worse for us as a country. And it's interesting, and I'm just trying to look how they want to, even in just in instances where you could write or probably apply for grants, now the government have to now employ lobbyists to start rebranding the image. We just like making the simplest thing so very, very complex. And now to the comedian, because I call him a comedian, because it wasn't a comedian. His colleagues behind him would not be laughing. The Rizamonte Ezekiel, the counsel to FG. And why I called him a comedian is very simple and evident. In a statement, he said the boys we paraded in court today are married men. So contradictory. If further in his statement, he called them kids. What do you expect of him? And it wasn't even that the police wanted to arraign those guys. It wasn't the police that brought them to court willingly. It was civil organizations that instituted case against the police that you've breached their fundamental human rights. That was what forced the police to bring them to court. And you see the force PRO Adejobi, I don't have any word to dignify his mockery of humanity. Probably, maybe this time I have to get religious or probably sentimental. God will visit him with the right judgment, appropriate judgment for his actions and utterances.
No. Let's speak to the issues, Mr. Saka.
No, I'm serious, because there's nothing you can. How can you be relying on the provisions of laws of 1945 in 2024 just because you want to justify and inhumane treatment to children? Again, I'm looking at the judge. These are things you need to. It's a need for us to reevaluate our national values. I'm looking at the judge that sat down on the bench, saw those kids and slandered 10 million naira bail condition. It shows you how much we've degenerated, how bad we've gone, how deep we've gone into being.
Mr. Saka, because we're pressed for time, let's just get on with this conversation further.
No
when the videos of these minors came to public glare and people saw some fainting, some looking so malnourished, and the lawyers were giving them snacks and water to drink, a lot of people, were so emotional about the situation, and it got people talking, controversies on social media and some media space. But then when these kits were released, it got people confused, because a lot of people were starting to ask the question. We saw kids in the court. Now we are seeing full-grown adults with beards coming out as the released detainees of the End Bad Protesters, End Bad Governance protest.
Let me butt in.
Yeah.
I think the reason, I think it like my brother said, it was a mixed population.
Okay.
Some adults and some kids were arrested. That's probably explained why they were charged to a federal high court rather than the magistrate court where a minor should be tried. But away from that, what you would have expected is the Comptroller General of Nigerian Correctional Service should have been sacked. Because who is that? Where were those kids kept? Or who kept those kids in such a facility, either a medium, a maximum facility, instead of a juvenile remand home? You're not talking about that. All the government is worried about.
Mr. Saka, the Correctional Service issued a statement, and they said they did everything that they should do, and they put those guys in wherever their age belongs, and they have done rightly. They issued a press statement.
I've been to a juvenile center somewhere around the region. I know I've seen how kids in juvenile centers are treated and what they look like. Those kids we saw in the courts were not looking like somebody in a juvenile correctional center. And one other thing, the imports of these actions on our national security is we probably have potential 110 terrorists to contend with, unless these kids are probably rehabilitated and probably reorientated and given the right civics studies and education for them not to turn against the state because the state has failed them.
Yeah, if I may, Borton, because we have to go. Are there, I don't know what to call it now, handing over, to their different state government, because those guys were picked up from Kano and Kaduna state. The governors were there as well. The vice president told those guys, you have to do what is right, and that don't be found in this kind of situation again. And then he handed them over based on their state to their state governors. And, the boys were wearing new clothes and everybody went. They were boarded in a bus and they left. This morning, we are hearing there are some minors again from Borno that were picked up. And then one will be wondering, are we doing this thing state by state right now? All of a sudden, the Borno people now know that they have children in detention as well. And you said something in the beginning, that the federal government that is now appearing to be feigning ignorance cannot say they didn't know about this all of a sudden, that, this is where we are right now. So where does this put us? If we can do this in 30 seconds as a people, as a nation.
It puts us as a nation, we are just being ruled by viperous people, and the opposition that should put the government on its toes is dead. So we will probably, as a nation, collectively rise up against this, demand for humanity, or probably just live with this for the next, maybe for the remainder of their first time in office or another 8 years or what have you. But we need to evaluate our national values, because we are not acting on, the perception, we are not acting as human beings. We are not giving the decency to human lives.
Would like to thank you, especially Deyemi Saka, for your analysis, your thoughts and submissions this morning. Deyemi Saka is a public affairs analyst and a security consultant. Thank you for your takes this morning. We appreciate you.
Nice. Thank you for having me.
All right, that's the show this morning. Thank you for being a part of our world. We'll make a return tomorrow for the TGIF edition of Morning Spring. My name is Evelyn Ohiola. You can watch a recap on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. Stay tuned for Spring Trends coming right after this broadcast.
Right, Femi Ojo is my name. God bless Nigeria.
iconic African presents narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally, the first story building in Nigeria, is an archival museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history.
Television gives everyone an image, but radio gives birth to 1 million images in 1 million brains. People say video killed the radio star, but here in our state, video is very much alive. It's not just about tuning in. It is about tapping into the endless possibilities of the human imagination.
Welcome to Rave 91.7, where the airwaves come alive with a symphony of voices, music, and ideas.
Nestled in the heart of Oshogbo, it's a storyteller, a magician who dreams the mindless. Speaking on an app, radio allows us to enter on pictures to create our own words with every word and every note played.
Inside the world of Rave FM, the magic happens. From the crackling energy of morning talk shows to the soul-stirring melodies at the playlist, from invitation to explore, to dream, and to connect.
Whether it's news, music, or lively discussions, Rave 91.7 FM is more than just a radio station. It's a companion, a confidant, and a least for change in the community. Fast forward 7 years of birth of culture and innovation, and we'll find ourselves just a couple days away from a momentous occasion, the birthday of Western Spring Television, WSTV. With hyper-local reach and language, WSTV speaks directly to its audience in a 60-40 mix of Yoruba and English languages, ensuring that everyone feels represented and included.
Built on a tested and trusted system, WSTV upholds the value of truth and integrity, serving as a beacon of objectivity in a sea of media noise.
We reflect on the journey that brought us here, from humble beginnings to a trusted source of information and inspiration. WSTV stands as a testament to the power of media to inform, educate, and empower. So join us as we continue to break barriers, challenge norms, and pave the way for a brighter, more inclusive media landscape. Western Spring Television, where every story has a voice is heard.
Welcome to Spring Trends Television. I'm Evelyn Ohiol, and what we'll talk about on the show is situation, issues, matters trending on social media. Who is trending, what is trending, where they are trending, and we get to take reactions. Femi Ojo is right here to help take some analysis of some of the stories. Welcome on board, Femi. What's this? What?
Have you seen a fine man today?
You know, sometimes people, it's good to hype yourself.
You have the opportunity.
And so if I don't blow my trumpet, who will blow it for you?
You are blessed.
So please blow your trumpet like a Natalia Bassi.
With all humility, Femi Ojo is my name. It gives me great joy to be here.
Please, what is humble about what you just did?
Sometimes when you are fine, you just say, God, you do this one.
What is humble about what is it? With all humility.
Let's move. Let's move.
He's talking proudly with all the humility.
There is pride in the humility. You don't break that thing. You know, people will say, whenever Nigerians come at you and they say, with due respect, it may say they want to insult you.
It's disrespect. All right, let's get right on to the show. The very first story this morning is a sad one. As the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday announced the passing of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Abiodun Lagbaja, who died on Tuesday night in Lagos at the age of 56 after an illness. It's a sad one, and we commiserate with the family of Lagbaja. Let's take reactions. I am Ikechukwu Anaba says, may death not take us on the day we assume the throne we labored so hard to achieve. Rest in peace, Lieutenant General. #respect at HQ Nigerian Army. And Sadiq says, may the Almighty grant him eternal rest. And this is from Oladayo Broy. At Oladayo Broy says, seems this man has been dead since. That's why they installed another chief of army staff as acting on his behalf. This is so sad. And Salisbury says, the chief of army staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Abiodun Lagbaja, is dead. Man lives with a zero legacy. May his soul rest in peace. I mean, Nigerians will always look for a way to throw shade, even at the dead. But then, Femi, what's your take? I mean, Surveyor Oladayo Broy says it seems he died, even before his death was announced. And some Nigerians have also come up with speculations that for the federal government to have appointed Olu Yede as the acting chief of army staff, probably he already died, and they're just looking for a way to manage the information and the situation. Your thoughts?
It's condolences to his family, the General Tarid Abiodun Lagbaja, of course, to the governor of Osun State as well, because he's from here, but mainly for his immediate family. The First Lady and her entourage were there yesterday, but then it's fair to commiserate, but you can never bring back the dead. But then, no matter how, for somebody to rise through the ranks of an officer to the first man in the Nigerian army, take it or leave it, he has paid his dues. Yeah. By the way, more than a year in charge as a COAS, Chief of Army Staff, and life will happen to anybody. Just like we said on a previous program, whether you're a general or you're a peasant somewhere, or a newborn baby dies. By the way, even pregnancy sometimes are terminated. It happens. Life will happen to anybody. And when it comes, your rank, your status will not matter. That's just the thing. But as for people saying maybe has died before, because of antecedents, because of the way we do things around here, people will always speculate. Yeah. Okay. And there was I think Jackson Ude on social media categorically tweeted at the point and say the man had died. But the Nigerian army came with, the release and said that's fake. But at the end of the day, the man has died. We will all do if rapture doesn't come, because I believe in one. But then it happens. But as a fact that it doesn't have a legacy, I disagree. Okay. You can't rise through the rank of a chief of army staff and you've not paid your due. But then the war against insecurity is ongoing. He has left. Oluyede is in. We wish him all the best.
All right, from this sad news right here in Nigeria, we go to the good news in the United States of America. The U.S. has elected 47th president in the person of Donald J. Trump. It was
Donald Ilufemiloye Trump.
It was really a close call between him and Kamala Harris, who sits as the vice president of the United States of America in this particular election. By the way, there were not just two on the ballots. There were like five. We had Jill Stein of the Green Party, Robert Kennedy, the independent candidate. So it was not just two contenders. We had more contestants, just that there were two major. Yeah. It was either Kamala or Donald. But, the elections went in the way of Donald J. Trump, winning with 295 electoral votes. And Kamala has conceded defeat, and also Donald Trump has also given his victory speech. And our own president here, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has congratulated the USA President-elect Trump as he extends his heartfelt congratulations to President Trump on his re-election as the 47th President of the United States of America. Right. Let's take the reactions. By the way, Femi, I was wondering, was it a Nigerian election? Because I was saying congratulations more from the Nigerian people and people being overtly excited about the United States
because it's the US
elections.
And, people will monitor. The US is one of the countries people are struggling to jump to. So you must know what's happening at the other end.
When Kenya did their election, I did not see this amount of congratulations for our brother.
What is a Kenya?
But they are brothers.
What's a Kenya?
They are brothers.
Okay,
Africa brotherhood.
Okay, all right.
What is Kenya?
Let them get to that status of the US. The whole world is watching.
Yeah.
Actually, not just Nigeria.
All right, Alfred Awuke says, don't just congratulate, learn from the way things are done in a civilized country. Speaking to President Tinubu there. And Obo Akin says, God, happy to see our countrymen still committed to good relations with America despite whoever is in power. Also, knowing how Trump liked to ally with rising regional powers, it will definitely have something planned for us in Nigeria and West Africa. Okay. Echoes of Reality says, Donald, my guy. Elon, my G. What's this famzy all about? Celebrity Taylor says, how does it feel congratulating a real winner that is the people's choice? I mean, that question is for Tinubu there. Very quickly, if you can do that in 30 seconds, you want to, congratulate Donald J. Trump or,
To Donald Oluwagbemileke Ojutelega or Taibayomi Trump. Well, it's his time.
And
actually.
It was a massive comeback for him.
Well, you might not like his style. I don't, by the way, but you can't fight his doggedness, by the way. He was defeated, although he threw tantrums and all of it. He ran again, and he has been elected right now, fair and square. It looks, and, the runner-up, the first runner-up, rather, has conceded defeat. So life goes on.
Yeah.
And one thing is there, if you think you are worthy of something and you try all you could to have it and you are not having it, okay, give it a shot again. Possibly you might have it. I think that's just the moral of the story.
Yeah.
God bless the US. God bless Nigeria.
I mean, former President Muhammadu Buhari also had a story like that. He tried and tried until he continued, and he won.
Give it a shot again.
All right, let's go to our next and final story this morning, a sad one this morning, where we have actually learned that a dog or some dogs attacked someone in Lagos, in Pinnock Estate in Lasan, I hope I got that correctly, Lekki, on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. And the dogs, 3 in numbers, actually killed a security guard. And, the police have actually, are in the situation, taking a hold of the matter. The police PR in Lagos State has released a statement that the dogs have been confiscated. The owners of the dogs have been arrested. But this is a sad situation. We had something like that in Osun State, I think, last year. Yeah. Yes, where a woman's child was, beaten by dogs. The woman was had some dog bites on her and all of that.
Was attacked.
Let's just take reaction. Pijua says, what if that person had made this video, hit this man with his car, and he used the dogs to redeem himself? Everyone is focused on just one angle. Okay. Question the person that made the video, because I do not see blood on the mouth of those dogs. Okay. FBI, CIA, Pijua. I don't know where the angle
KGB
she's coming from. But of course, she is entitled to her own opinion. Diva Nigeria Rai says, don't run, it won't bite you. When I saw the size of a neighbor's dog the day it came out by mistake, I instructed my kid's school bus driver to please enter my compound to pick up my kids and drop off. This size of dogs are beasts and not pets. And I am Ruth Boniface says, I pray the deceased gets justice. And Lily _ Gazi says, damn, those are beasts, but it saddens me an innocent man was killed. Your thoughts very quickly, Femi. When you enter someone's compound, say, don't run, it will not bite you. It will just say, fine boy, just say, good boy.
No.
But,
somebody say, are you the dog? It doesn't by say, are you the dog? If the dog has changed his mind, do you know? But then it's a sad one.
Yeah.
In this life, I think there is a new rule that I've found out and I'm living by it. God help me. Don't allow anything or anyone to buy you.
Yeah.
Don't die by whatever means. Stay alive. Because justice for Kinika. It doesn't bring back the father to those children. It doesn't bring back the mother to those children. It doesn't bring back the husband or the wife or the children that are killed. Anybody buy? That's just the way it is, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, it's a sad one. It's just a porous the way. You know that I have something similar like that in my area, in my home at the time. And it was just because of recalcitrant people. I don't know. Some people try to live large on what they don't really need. Yeah. Actually, is it status? Some people go and buy expensive dog to do
you can't
what?
Feed.
You yourself, you are begging God. You go, they buy big dog. To do what? People who buy these special breed, these dogs are not bingos. Bingos know their way. Naturally, bingos. They know their ways around. They know their way. Even if you don't give them food, they know their way. You must feed them, by the way. But these big dogs, they don't, and the attack instinct in them is high. Yeah. The moment something goes wrong, some of them even goes mad. There is
because there's some of the security dogs.
Yes, that needs these vaccines. And the moment those things are not complete, there's a way they go berserk. And they attack dogs. Some people go and buy big dogs and using it as pet. You'll be giving it a bath. These are some of the issues. But community must, in fact, we have to just do whatever we can before that thing left our home. Please do whatever the moment you say there is a threat in an area, please, they are doable. Don't just think it's just in a compound. It can happen to anybody. And people that are thinking buy this kind of things, a flex. You better rethink. If you never chop, leave dog for where they're born. That's just my opinion on that. Somebody has died now. Yeah. Justice for Kinikon. Will he bring back the dead? In Nigeria, not let anybody buy you.
And it's also sad that the person is a security guard. He's also paying a service to that particular estate.
We don't know what happened.
Lost his life in the process of safeguarding the environment. May his soul rest in peace, and may God grant the family the strength to bear this loss. That will be all from the show this morning from this end. Thank you for being a part of our world. We'll make a return for the TGIF edition of Spring Trends. I will not end without saying thank you to this humbly proud man, Femi Ojo. My name is Evelyn Ohiola. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Turn up is the wild, wild west. And Latest News Television is pulling out all the stuff to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the live entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be showing on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings to the sports news. Meet us with infos. even diffusion. And we discuss not the words that flew across borders, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Wow, look at that. Until recently, I got a pangolins. But this is strong. It's a small mammal covered with scales made of keratin, just like our nails. Strong scales. The scales has no medicinal value, yet the scales and the meat is driving the pangolin extinction. This one is a guy, and he was rescued from the illegal bushing tree. He's going back in the wild where he belongs to keep the animal population in check. Home sweet home. Say no to illegal bushmeat and report wildlife crime, because poaching steals from us all.
Since assuming the mantle of leadership in Osun, the state of the Living Spring, Governor Ademola Adeleke has left no one in doubt about his avowed commitment to the overall development of the state. The footprints of his transformative agenda span through education, transportation, health, staff welfare, social infrastructure, among others. Living Spring Update, a weekly diary on Rave 91.7 FM and Western Spring Television, Channel 190 Star Times DTT, will extract Governor Adeleke's development agenda for your listening and viewing pleasure. From the bustling market to innovative agricultural initiatives, from the testimonies of civil servants and retirees to the cheers of artisans across the state of the Living Spring, you will discover how Governor Adeleke's administration is driving the economic growth of the state. Stay informed and engaged with Living Spring Update, where we will delve deep into the details of ongoing infrastructural projects, new initiatives in healthcare, education, and all impactful rides made across the state. Tune in at Wednesday on Western Spring Television at 6 p.m. and every Saturday on Rave 91.7 FM at exactly 2:30 p.m. You can follow us on all our social media platforms at Western Spring Television and at Rave 917 FM as we tell the story of how Governor Adeleke is shaping Osun into the beacon of development and opportunity.
Living Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Oshogbo.
I am just too funny, and I have superpowers to bring extinct animals back to life. Okay, that's not true. But I do have the voice to save our remaining wildlife. We have only 400 elephants and 100 gorillas left. We can't afford to lose even a single one anymore. So let's work together to protect our natural heritage. Tell your family and friends not to buy illegal bushmeats like pangolins and crocodiles, because poaching steals from us all.
Western Spring Television, as it is.
Hello, and good afternoon to you this wonderful day. Welcome to Western Spring Television, Oshogbo, and to the flagship interview program we call pertinent questions. Every Monday on this program, we go conversational as we invite men and women of substance who have much to deliver in terms of ideas and thoughts to come as our guests and for us to simply ask and also be ready to know. This afternoon, we are going into the realm of the arts. In particular, we are spotlighting on art. Art is said to be the use of imagination to express drawings, ideas of drawing, feelings, paintings, and sculpture. It is one of the aspects of the very broad theme called arts generally. Perhaps in due course, my guest will be ready to tell us the difference between what is art and what is considered to be arts. There is a guest in the studio this afternoon who helped me to shed light in this conversational manner. He is the man in charge of, call him the curator, and you're right, he's the curator and head of the National Art Gallery in Osogbo, an establishment of the federal government of Nigeria. I speak of no other person than Mr. Adekunle Samuel Adodo. Did I get the pronunciation right?
Yes.
Adodo.
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 Yeah.
Mr. Adodo is my guest today, and he will be talking on pertinent questions as I raise the issues, albeit in a very conversational manner. I'd like to welcome you onto the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, my brother.
Yes, sir.
The show is in two parts. We spend a total of 45 minutes on this show. For the next 20, 22, 3 minutes, I like to go very conversational as I ask you, tell me and tell the viewer at home, what is art? And by definition of a professional, and what constitutes arts?
First and foremost, let me use this opportunity to thank my Hoga, Mr. Shitu Smole Salamu. I want to thank you for bringing me to this wonderful and special program. You asked the question, what is art and arts? Now, in the aspect of National Gallery of Art, the art is what we do there.
Yeah.
Now, we are into what we call the visual art. Now, the art that you have of it comprises every other art. That's when you have the visual art, you have the performing art, you have the all arts. Yes, all arts. The drawing and everything is under the arts. But why
Even
we
including literature.
Yes, literature, even writing, even the actors and the actresses, they're all under the art. But what we do is the visual art. Now, the visual art is where you try to do paintings, sculptures, and we do textile of modern artists. Now, we bring what is different between the traditional art, that's what we call the antiquities, and the modern art. And that's the difference between why the other art comprises the rest, whereby you can have the performing art, whereby the people that are doing plays,
play music,
play music, the musician of these days, we have the people that write, the poet, and every other thing.
All come under
the
arts.
Is the umbrella name for every other that comes under them.
But your art is the visual.
Visual art is the visual art.
Who is a curator?
Okay. Let me try to correct one thing. I am from National Gallery of Art, not Art Gallery.
Okay.
Now,
what is it? No. Okay. All right.
Yeah. There's a difference between the National Gallery of Art and the Art Gallery.
Okay.
The Art Gallery is just where
artworks are being placed.
Yeah.
While the National Gallery of Art is the establishment that is in charge of all other gallery and keep to Nigerian art.
So I'm still right in saying, who is a curator?
Yes, you are right. A curator is a man that is in charge of artworks that give specification that oversees a gallery. Now,
must it only be a man?
No, it can,
because your definition, you said
using,
man.
I'm not using the gender now. It can be a man or a woman. But the person that
that's better.
The person that man the gallery that is in that, or when you are doing a curator might sometimes be the person that is coordinating any exhibition that's been going on. Now we had an exhibition not quite long, and the person that curates the event that's carrying people around, telling them is the curator for that event. So the curator might be a person in charge of a station, like we have a curator too in National Museum, or the person that is in charge of a program, an exhibition.
We talk of art gallery. Sometimes we hear art house.
Okay.
To me, a layman, can you tell me what is and what are here?
Okay. A gallery is whereby artworks are being kept, whereby we have a series of artworks that has been kept there for people to see. While a art house is where those, most time, where those artworks are being produced. Now, if you go to, sometimes they call it a workshop.
Okay.
Art house, they call it a workshop. Or it can sometimes mean when your art house is different from my own house, art house. It might be where you write your literature.
Okay.
It might be where you do your performance, performing art. But for a gallery is where art, that's sculptures,
works are
artworks
presented.
are being presented.
Okay.
Are being kept.
Kept.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. As a young child, I grew up to know that in the art, we talk of school of arts.
Okay.
When we talk of a school of art, what do we mean?
Okay. School of art is can be seen as they represent the people, the ideas of people about art. Now, we have different schools of art in Nigeria. We have the Zaria School of Art, we have the Benin School of Art, we have the Oshogbo School of Art. It's just a way of people classifying, presenting their artworks, presenting their paintings or whatever they are doing. So the School of Art is different, is in session, on different session.
How can one strike a distinction between the School of Art of, say, Oshogbo and the School of Art?
Okay, whenever you see the paintings and the way the people in Oshogbo do their own artworks, is quite different from what they do in the Zaria. So it's distinguished. There is a technique that is distinguishing them from each other. And that is what distinguishes each art school. And their belief, the way they believe, what they believe in, their ideology is different from each other.
Can we say Oshogbo is the epicenter of the arts in Yoruba land?
Yeah. Oshogbo Art School is, Oshogbo is the, like what I call it, is the traditional headquarters of the Southwest. It is where majority of the artists in the Southwest, where they emerge from, are people like Baba Jimoh Brahimo, Rhino, even going towards performing arts too. People like when they started the Mbari Mbayo in Ibadan, and they all came together in Oshogbo with Willie Baya, giving them the instruction. So is a unique place whereby it have all the other states in the Southwest joined to it because of where it's situated. Now, Baba of blessed memory, I just heard that he died last year, and Fabumi is from Ekiti, but it's part of Oshogbo School of Art. 27 is from Oyo, is from Ibadan. It's part of Oshogbo School of Art. So this is where majority of the artists, yes, in the Southwest,
especially fine artists,
and even performing artists.
I agree with you.
When we talk about Obakuso, yes, Adejobi, Ele Parimo, and all of them, they come on together. Osogbo is a capital. Let me use the capital of arts.
But I want an explanation.
Okay, sir.
Before all these ones, I think Hubert Ogunde had started. Isn't it?
Yes.
How do we keep on referring to Osogbo as the
Osogbo
epicenter?
Really helped them to project the art in Southwest. Now, thank God for Willie Bayer that came that promote them outside the shores of the country, whereby they are all being known all over the world. So Osogbo gave a spring for others who have been there before. They are held there before, but Osogbo gave them the spring to be known all over the world.
In your answer to a particular question, you mentioned the culture, the beliefs, etc., as being items or principles that direct a particular school of art. Now, what is it that you have found that drives the Osogbo School of Art?
Okay, actually, there was a time I was having an interview with Baba Jimoh Ibrahim. I was asking him that, okay, what is that was driving you? And he said they want to perform, they want to excel. That their belief is that there is, because of their background, majority of people believe that people in Osogbo Art School, they are not educated. They are not learned.
Yes.
They are not.
No, they're educated. You are right. You are right.
But,
not educated. They didn't go to formal school.
But for your information, majority of them later went to formal school, and they even lecture outside the country. Rabbi Jimoh lecture outside the country when the Secretary of State came to Nigeria. For your information, the only art school that were able to meet him at the Osogbo Art School, that's Mama Nike and Baba Jimoh, that he went to meet them. So there is a distinct with that Osogbo Art School, which is every other art school are following.
Now, tell me, how many such schools do we have?
There are various art schools. There are various art schools. They have various of them all over.
Yeah, but we normally, well, maybe because I live in the Southwest, we hear of
Osogbo.
We hear of Osogbo.
There's the Benin, there's the Zaria, there's there are a lot of them, all over the country.
Okay, so it means there are many other art schools.
Yes.
But which of them is most internationally acknowledged? Which of these many schools?
Let me be partial.
No. I want to, no, you don't have to be partial. I want the reality.
It's the reality. Osogbo Art School.
It's the most internationally recognized.
It is. If you get to, there's an airport in America. When you get there, you will see Baba Jimoh Ibrahim.
Paintings.
Yes, is paintings in the airport there. Is well. I was speaking with Madam Bintu. Bintu, the first wife of Twin 77.
Okay.
And when I had an interview with her, she told me that there was a time that she went to US, and the way they were carrying her all around. And so Osogbo Art School is the most celebrated all over the world.
We thank God for that. It's in Osun State.
It's in Osun State.
And it's in the Southwest.
Yes, sir.
Now, your office, National Art Gallery, is there any relationship between your office and the Osogbo School of Art?
Okay, we have a good relationship. Actually, we started a series of exhibition, The Labor of Our Heroes Past. We did the first one last year, whereby doing a solo exhibition, and we celebrated the late Twin 77. And the series is going. That we are going to do the next one coming very soon in April. We are going to be doing an exhibition for Baba Jimoh Ibrahim. So we have a very good relationship between the Osogbo Art School.
Okay.
We did an exhibition not quite long when we celebrated our 20th year anniversary in Osun, in Osogbo. We did an exhibition for all the art schools together. and we gave them award and recognition. So there is a synergy between us, Oshogbo Art School and National Gallery of Art.
From what you have said, you do so much there, but it looks like you don't effectively publicize your activities.
Okay.
Are you afraid of money?
No. Okay. The fund is one of the things that is drawing us back. For the last dispensation, when we were still under the former Ministry of Art, Culture and Information, and the fund were not released to art, to culture. Now, and for your information, a lot of outstations were starved of fund. So majority of what we did it with personal effort. And then, but we believe with the new creation of the Ministry of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, whereby a new energy is being thrown into it. By now we should, and that is why you will notice now that we have been doing a lot of programs, even with personal money, but we have been promoting it. When we wanted to do our 20th anniversary, or for the one for 27th, we came here to rave, and we had a live interview for the program. So the narrative is changing now.
Okay.
And majority of time you'll be hearing about what we are doing now in National Gallery of Art. Just last week, Thursday, we had a program, Meet the Artist, where we brought in a very big artist, Mufu Nifade, the creator of Arising in Nigeria, that came to talk to the students, the young ones. And we publicize this. You will check all our websites. If you check everywhere, you will see Meet the Artist there.
Your minister, we have not heard much about her since it came on board. And you are now a complete ministry. What is happening?
Okay, when the new government came in, he splitted the Ministry of Art, Culture and Information into three.
Okay.
Into three. Now we have Art, Culture and Creative Economy.
Okay.
We have Ministry of Information and National Orientation and the Ministry of Tourism.
Okay.
Now, when the minister were being called on, our minister had, there was a challenge that people were saying that she's still serving in as a copper, and it was a lot of problem from one, but now she's coming out, and for information, we just gotten a new Director General in person of Mr. Sugaya. So he's a new dawn now for National Gallery of Art, and you'll be hearing more about us. We are even going ahead. One of the main mandates of us now is to create economy whereby we'll be able to bring up the young ones and how to make it on their own. It's not you being to the forward of school, making it alone, but we should be able to train them on how to be self-reliant.
You have jumped my gun, but it's still well. No, I'm going to, because I had a question on how do you hope to catch them young? Because there are many fine artists. Was it last year, a young man raised a group of boys who came to draw our nationalists, national, from Azikiwe, etc., etc. And they were fantastic. Young children between the ages of 8 and 15. This is how to catch them young. How seriously are you going to live up to this expectation of catching the youth young?
Okay, number one, there is what we call the Saturday Arts Club in National Gallery of Art, whereby every fortnight we bring the children together to train them on what to do about art. But what I discover mostly why the young ones are running away from art is, and there is this aspect of art that is a little bit having difficulty, and that is art marketing. Now, after they are finished producing their works, how do they market it?
Yeah.
Now,
this is where you should come in.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to. That there's a lot of them at the Groove. They have a art village there that produce a lot of Kampala and Adire. Now, what we are trying to do is to meet the government. Now, as the government have said now that every Wednesday, all the civil servants in the state should be putting on Adire, we want to try and sell it to the government that, okay, let us go to that place and tell them, okay, make a mass production.
Yeah.
Government can do a thing instead of buying Okada for people, buy overdose Adria and Kampala and give it out to staffs. It's an incentive for them too. It will bring those guys to produce more when they know that there is where they are going to sell their artwork. Now, there is a man in Oshun now that is making it bigly now, big time. He started from, he was one of our staff. Before he left, he went to US to go and train, and he came back. And to even get any of his painting now, you will need to, you don't just go and buy. Yes, you need to book ahead. Now, he did a painting for the Obalegushi.
Yeah.
And it cost a lot of millions. He spent 2 years to produce the lion. They call it the Lion of the Elegushi. And I'm talking about Dr. Popola. He's in Ife there. He's building an art, he's having a museum there, an art gallery, one of the best in the Southwest. There is a Godzilla that they just did there now. By he turned waste into wealth. Yeah. He used waste. He goes around to pick waste, iron and everything. Now they are not turning used tires to Godzilla. They just finished building the biggest Godzilla in Africa, 10 feet, 15 feet tall. Is in Ife there. You can go and
explain what is a Godzilla.
Godzilla is yes. Okay, they use the tire to build a Godzilla. A Godzilla is a cartoon character for the children. Oh yeah. And they did a 10 feet tall of a Godzilla, and it's there in that Ife. If you are going towards the toll gate, you will see it from everywhere. They are turning even tires now into ties. That's floor ties. Yeah. They are turning wealth into.
Taken from Dr. Popola's challenges, what would you advise governments generally to do?
Now, like I told some of when we had the Meet the Artists, I told the children that now what government should do is to provide the environment that will make these people to thrive. Now, Popola is having some challenges now. He wants to build his gallery, but there's no support from the government. The tax is getting too much. What they're asking for him is getting too much. There's no support for him. He's doing it personally from his own pocket. Now, the last time I spoke with him, he has spent over more than 100 or 200 million in that place where he's building. Now, government should make an environment whereby this is what can bring income for the government. If they finish building that museum, people will be coming from outside the country. Yeah. They will stay in Ife or Osogbo. They will pay for the hotel there. They will eat food there. At the end of the day, the income is coming back to Osun State. They should at least
investment.
Yes, they should please help the people, the young ones, by giving them the environment to come up.
Okay. We will punctuate the show now.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back and still you talk to us in a conversational manner what other questions I would like to raise. For the past 22 minutes or so, I have been in the studio discussing with a curator, the National Art Gallery, Mr. Adekunle Samuel Adodo. He's still very much in the studio. We will be back to finish with the second part of this conversation, which I hope you are enjoying listening to. I'll see you at the crossover.
James Ajimaye was lawyer and degrees from Nigeria's Premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee's Diary, Constitution, and The People, among 6 other books. Bola Ige was a colorful politician, elected the governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of FERE, the Yoruba social, cultural and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bola Ige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bola Ige as a watershed character in history.
Want to on your station, WSTV. In the studio with me is the curator of the National Arts Gallery, Mr. Adekunle Samuel Adudu. Welcome to the second part of our conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Tell me, in a nutshell, the role of the National Gallery of Arts as a federal government establishment.
Okay, the National Gallery of Art, which is headquartered in Abuja and spread across the 6 geopolitical zone of the federal country, is an agency under the Federal Ministry of Art, Culture and Creative Economy. We are established by the decree number 83 of 25th of August 1993 and later amended by the National Assembly Act of the 12th May 2004. The National Art Gallery is empowered to collect, document, promote, preserve, and present Nigerian contemporary art, modern practices, and exhibition display and technique preservation. That's our major work. We interpret and appreciate of modern artwork. Now that's where we are different from National Museum. Why there is antiquities, why we are the modern artworks.
Okay, how many such offices, or how widely spread are you, is the National Art Gallery?
Like I said, we are all over the 6 geopolitical zone. We have about 26 of such stations all over the country. And why we have about 3 in the southwest, 1 in Osogbo, in Abeokuta, and in Lagos.
Okay, the southwest we have 3.
Yes, we have 3 in southwest.
Okay. Art. Yes, wherever you come or wherever you look at it from, whichever way you see it, how can one say antiquities can bring money? What I'm trying to say is that, is it money yielding, this your business?
Okay. Artwork. First thing you should have is a passion first. Don't look at the money first. The money will come later with your works. I was asking Abamuraino that when you first started, did you think that you get money from this? He said no. He was just a petrol attendant, and he came to join them. And before you know it, he was drawing. And the first artwork he sold, he didn't believe that money will come to him. A majority of them, they have made money from it now. Dr. Popola is, for somebody that has spent personally over 200 million on his project, so until you have that passion, you put the best into it before you can start making money from artwork. Yes, there is money in artwork, but you need to put in your best to get the best out of it.
Well, how effectively is your organization contributing to national development? You said it's not something you get immediately. There is a gestation period. To what extent can the average young man wait before he strikes the gold?
It might not stay long. It depends on how you want it to be, what you put into what you are doing.
All right.
Now, if you put your best into it, you will get the money fast. Now, is the people, if they notice that you have the best, the technique, Dotun did not stay long. before he started making money, he's is he a young man? He's in early 40s. Baba's fine, they are old, but it depends on how your passion for this work, your passion. If people can see your creativity, now if you can distinguish yourself from others, then people will come for you. Now he's doing something that a lot of people have not gone into, and that's why he brought him that success on time, because he's turning waste into wealth. He's doing artwork through scraps. He called himself a scrap artist. And that's what he does.
What does he mean by that? Tell me in a nutshell.
Okay. Now, when he started, he goes about going to pick used parts of cars. He used
tires.
Not even tires. He doesn't do that. It's another person that does that. He used iron.
Okay.
Scraps. And it turned into artwork to do one beautiful things. And he goes by himself to go and pick it. He was picking it first.
As a scavenger.
Yes. He was going all around. But later, when he became big, he got some boys with him, and now he started buying because people have noticed that, hey, there's money in this thing. So he buy. He will go. He use spoon. He use them. Even the least thing that you think he won't use. Use boats, batteries, and plugs to do his artwork. So he was passionate about this work. And that's why he made it on time. It depends on how passionate you are about what you are doing.
Must one get a relationship with the Western world or outside this country before he can really say, my artwork is going to sell?
Okay, it's just unfortunate that we, from this side of the country, we don't appreciate art as such. Now, the whites appreciate art more than us.
Yes.
Like what I was telling you before was that the older the art, the sculpture or the painting, the more expensive they are. Now, there are some, I was talking to my zonal coordinator, and he told me something that somebody called him from Nigeria that a white man needs an artwork, one that will cost 150 million.
Naira.
Yes. Just one artwork that will cost 150 million naira. And they have searched all over. They couldn't get.
How does the buyer determine how much he wants to pay?
It's just like you seeing a car. How do you determine, when you see what you need in that artwork, you will know that this worth this. Now they couldn't get. The one they could get, the highest they could get was about almost $1 million. 100 million. And they needed something big. Now, what am I saying is that you need to put your passion, you need to put everything into it. The whites appreciate our heart, and that's why they come into this country. And thank God Nigeria is making some money from that. As they are taking it there, you pay at the airport, you pay some duty on it, you pay into the government cover. The artist enjoys some money. He pays his stars. He buys most of what he uses in Nigeria, and the money will circulate in this country. But the white, the foreigners, they appreciate art more than us in this country.
The Nigerian sculptor, given the Nigerian background, sometimes we tend to think that there is an affinity between the sculptor and the spirits. How true is this?
Now, the sculptors most of the times just do their own work. That's carve out what they want to do. But most of the time, some people are so much believe that there is a spirit inbuilt in that thing. For your information, if you have something at home, if you continue speaking with that thing, you before long, the thing will be communicating with you. That's it. Your belief is belief. It's just your mental belief. And there was a time that somebody wants to buy what we call the Ray Biggie. And we got one for him here. He's a white man, and when he saw it, he said, "This thing is not communicating with me. That the Erebeji is not the true Erebeji. That they are not communicating." And I asked, he said, "No, I don't need to know how they communicate with you." And when later we found out that it wasn't the original one. So there is so it depends on human being, but they believe that there's a spirit behind
that
yes.
links up.
Yes, there's a link. There's a link.
That woman who said he wanted the original, had he had one before?
Yes, he has gotten some before. Yeah.
And then how can you have two originals?
No, there are different ones. You know, when Erebeji comes into being, when people give birth in the olden days into twins, and they normally carve out those. And for the original one, you just know they use them to, I don't know, I think if one goes or something. But the original one, you will know this is the original one.
Is it out of the style of carving?
No, not the style. There is something the inside.
All right.
I don't want to go into that.
Yes. Interesting. So there is the factor of the spirit of our ancestors inside that.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the ministry, you're now a ministry, you're a parastatal under a particular ministry.
Okay.
What is the role, or what are the roles that exist between you as a federal organization and the state ministries of culture, ministries of art, and what have you?
Okay, for every federal organization in a state, and they are supposed to add to the development of that state. Now I'm talking in general about every federal parastatal or ministry in a state. Now they are supposed to bring open the eyes of the state to see how they can benefit from the from the federal government. Now, our role as National Gallery of Art to the State Ministry of Culture and Tourism, we have a very good synergy with the state commissioner, presently now Mr. Fafa, that's Biodun Ojo. We call him Fafa. He came for our program, and we are coming with a program very soon that will be a collaboration between the National Gallery of Art and the main state ministry. Now, what we do again? We open their eyes to see where they can bring what we call fund, or where they can get development for the state. Now, that's what we do in the federal ministry.
There is, does your relationship overlap?
No.
You collaborate.
Yes.
Because sometimes
we collaborate.
You collaborate. I want your view on this. The colonialists in recent times, the colonial powers, be they from the Anglophone or Francophone, appear to be returning some of the artifacts that were shipped into their territory. What statement is this making?
Just not quite long, they started bringing back some of our artifacts, like the Bini bronze are being brought back. It's telling us that we are the best. We are better than them.
How?
They came to this country and they shipped away our artifacts. And they kept them there for long.
Many years. Centuries.
And for your information, if, like what I was saying just quite long, that there might be some spirit telling in those things that I want to go back home. Yes, I want to go back home. I want to go back home. I want to go back home. And they just have to release them. For your information, the value of those artifacts, they are very, very huge now than when it was shipped away. And that's why some of them are coming back to come and buy now. Now, it was first stolen, and they have to return it back. And they are coming to come and purchase them now. So it's just telling that creativity starts from Africa. Yes, creativity staff for Africa. If you go and check in history, when they got to the Egyptian, they saw the way they did their sculpture. So creativity staff, artists staff from Africa.
Well, that's interesting to hear, but I'm not in doubt of it because Africa has always been a very creative, a very fertile land. Now, these things that are brought back, I'm interested in if there's any financial reparation. Reparation in the sense that they took it long time ago. Are we forcing them to pay some monies back in lieu of having deprived us of these things?
No, we are not asking them to pay us anything, but for even bringing back, because of the value of those those antiquity is very high now. Now, is adding to our GDP. Now, some people keep their wealth through artwork. I know somebody that normally acquire artwork and keep it for a long time. And when he's selling it, it won't sell it what they are. So the cost or the price of those artwork when they took them away is not the same thing that they are bringing back. Now, so it increased the weight of where it's been taken away from.
If it increases do we have men and women who can easily buy these things at these ordinary prices?
Yeah, they are coming. They buy it. Sometimes it's crazy if you hear how much they are buying artwork.
Is it the white men or still the
some
African?
Nigerians buy it and go and sell it again there. They call them the art collectors. Their own is just to collect the art, buy it, and they are the middleman, they are sales, and they make money even more than the artist.
Okay. Yes, this leads us to my last question because you have started answering it. My question is, when will our art be given an export drive? That's money, fetching money for us. It doesn't have to be the man repatriating the artifacts back home. But how much of a financial drive is the ministry, is your department, your agency giving the drive to excel in culture and so to make money?
Thank God that we are in a new ministry now, creative economy, and I know it's part of our core value now that we should create economy, we should create wealth with what we're having. For your information, some of the artists that I know have gone outside to do some exhibition, and when they go with the artwork, they don't come back with them again. They sell everything. I was in an exhibition and sometimes ago in Abuja.